The Diablo series has been around for over 20 years now, and to celebrate, Blizzard announced that they were doing two things. One was to introduce the Darkening of Tristram earlier this year, which was a free temporary event in Diablo 3 where you could play through a Diablo 1 inspired 16-level dungeon with new unlockables like a mini butcher pet. The other thing they announced was a new character for Diablo 3, the Necromancer, which would be coming as a pack with a new pet, banner, character slots, and they are even trying to retcon the Necromancer storyline into Diablo 3. The Necromancer is a classic character from Diablo 2 that uses death in many different ways to destroy enemies. Raising the dead, wearing bones, and using the essence of death is a core part of what makes the Necromancer unique from any other class. While this was exciting to hear, this new class pack has riled up a lot of people in the community because Blizzard has decided that they will be charging for the Necromancer character pack. Many believe this pack should be free, but I am a little torn on which way to feel because I think that Blizzard has created something pretty interesting here. Now, I was invited to check out the Necromancer on Blizzard's public test realm recently, so I decided that since I played so much Diablo 3 over the years, I should really give this new class a look. Even though I've sort of retired from Diablo 3 after the Darkening of Tristram event, I felt the only way to really get a good idea of what the Necromancer was all about was to level one up from 0 to 70. So I did. In fact, I made a companion video for this preview where I level a Necromancer from 0 to 70 in 60 minutes. I mean, I didn't actually do it in 60 minutes, but I shortened it down to 60 minutes so you can take it all in a quick time. Definitely check that out when you have the chance. It took me roughly 8 hours to get to 70, and I think that Blizzard has done an excellent job balancing this old school class to fit in with other classes in the newer game. Having leveled up all the other classes about twice over my Diablo 3 career, it definitely felt like I was moving at the right pace and speed. The Necromancer is an interesting character as it feels like a hybrid between the Witch Doctor and the Wizard. The Witch Doctor comparison is an easy one to make mainly due to the pets that the character can summon to help fight for them. I suppose the Witch Doctor actually feels like the Necromancer character from Diablo 2 first though, right? So I guess the right way to say it is that the Necromancer feels like the Witch Doctor, which feels like you're playing the Necromancer from Diablo 2. It's an odd thing, really. Regardless, I mentioned pets, and as far as pets go, you could have a screen filled with pets fighting at your side if you so desire. At one point, I had a golem fighting goblins with skeletons backing him up, and undead mages backing them up, while I summoned little demons that burst out of the bodies of enemies that lay dead on the ground. On top of that, I also had a hired hand with me as I was playing alone, and he had a ring on that would give him the ability to summon a creature to fight at his side. It was pet pandemonium. This may not be the most powerful way to go with the Necromancer, but it does make you feel like a necromancing madman. The other side of the coin is that if you're not that big into pets, you can make it so your Necromancer is more like the Wizard class, and suit them up with curses and spells to attack all the baddies. Where the Wizard may use mana to conjure up spells, the Necromancer uses a very similar setup called Essence. I ended up going the pet route with the Necromancer as I was a big fan of playing that way with the Witch Doctor. I had a lot of fun summoning demons, golems, and skeletons all over the place. However, it wasn't only pets. The Necromancer wouldn't be the Necromancer without some over-the-top gross stuff, right? One of the core features of the Necromancer is the use of dead corpses on the ground. These corpses aren't just going to lay in wait for you, though. You have to make them, out of your enemies. When you create these dead bodies, you can use them in a variety of ways. You can consume them for health, you can make them explode to do damage, or you can use the ability I used, which turns each body into a bone spear that shoots across the screen and snipes enemies. These bone spears can do a ton of damage and really wreck more powerful enemies. I also used another ability a lot called Bone Armor, which rips bones out of nearby enemies and surrounds your body with them, like armor. This ability can use runes to increase your damage output, freeze enemies, and many other things. Since I was using a bunch of pets, the way I was approaching most fights was to refresh my Bone Armor ability. Then I would send my skeletons in to start the fight. Then I would send in my golem who would do sort of a cannonball thing into the ground and turn into a batch of dead bodies. With those dead bodies, I would turn them into bone spears and pierce my enemies. Once the bodies were gone, I would use an AoE ability called Death Nova that shoots out tentacles to do some damage and regain health. Of course, since this is Diablo 3, there are many ways to build your character and do damage, and it's worth exploring other ways to use the Necromancer class. Obviously, this is part of the fun of the game, finding a build that works for you. And to be honest, I did have fun with the Necromancer class. Despite it being a fun class to play, I really only have one personal issue with it, and that is that I've sort of retired from the game. I don't have much interest in continuing to play it because I really have moved on at this point. After I finished the Darkening of Tristram event earlier this year, I actually uninstalled the game. Now, this isn't a knock on the game at all, as I put hundreds of hours into it. I played every class several times through the seasons, but it was just time for me to move on. While I had fun with the Necromancer class, I can say that it just isn't enough to actually bring me back to the game full time. I've experienced the Necromancer once, and I think I'm good. I feel like if they would have done a character pack with, say, 3 characters in it, I would have been a lot more interested, but this one won't be enough for me to come back. However, if you find yourself still playing a lot of Diablo 3 and it's the game you keep coming back to, this will be something you'll want to pick up. Now, I know for many, what this really all comes down to is what is Blizzard going to charge for this new character. Rumors are that it could run between $20 to $30, and I could see $20 being a decent price point for this, considering what you get. Any more than that, and I think it would be overpriced. After my time with the Necromancer, I don't think it's enough to bring you back to it if you're kind of overplaying Diablo 3 at this point. But if you're still leveling characters every season in Diablo 3 and this has an affordable price point, I think that this will be a really good addition to your game. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to check out some of the other GGRC episodes. And if you're feeling a little retro, why not jump into the Quake Grave, where you can watch me play through a lot of different custom maps in Quake. Enjoy!